Am I the a-hole for having a baby shower and not inviting my pregnant ex? So my ex and I are currently expecting a baby and she's 26 weeks along. I am the last/only person in friendship group and family, in my generation and above, who hasn't had a kid yet, so everyone's quite excited and they decided to throw me a baby shower just for bands. They'd told me they wanted to throw me one and asked if they should invite my ex. I said no because well no. We've agreed to co-parent but we can and should keep some things separate if not necessary to include one another, and this was just with my friends and family. So they threw me this baby shower and it was honestly quite some fun. It was all just jokes and bands. We had a great lunch, had some drinks, treats, and the gift giving. It was more of a celebratory party of me finally joining the parent club than anything. We took a bunch of funny parody type pictures of typical baby shower photoshoots, like one with my stomach out and my friends were feeling the baby and one of me under baby shower banner with all the balloons and gifts etc. These were obviously posted and my ex saw them and didn't like it, to say the least. She thinks I'm a dickhead for having a baby shower one, at all because I refused to throw her one or help contribute in two, without her since I'm not the one pregnant and apparently the photos were sexist and insulting. I get it but also don't think it's that big of a deal. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for wanting to cancel the party that my husband is throwing for his best friend? I 28F and my husband 30M have been dating for 3 years and married for 2. Recently we have bought a house together to start a family. It has a beautiful garden and is overall quite spacious. My husband, let's call him Paul, and his best friend Ethan have known each other since elementary school and are very close. Ethan hadn't had any relationships during the whole time that I have known him. Apparently this is quite rough on him, so my husband decided that he would host a party for him at our house and asked me to invite all my single girlfriends and they were to invite their single friends as well. To be honest, I really did not want to have a party in our home, especially with me being 7 months pregnant. But I relented and said fine because I thought it could be fun to meet my friends and get my mind of things. We chose a date for the party and invited our friends. An estimated amount of around 30 people, mostly women, would be attending. Even though I am pregnant and cannot drink, I offered my husband that I could be making cocktails for the guests, as this is something that I think is fun and I like making mocktails for myself as well. He kinda looked at me weird and said, well, who else would be making them? Which threw me off a bit, as this was his event and not mine. I took the moment to ask him if he had called a caterer or how he would be feeding the guests, to which he gave me a look and replied by saying, I thought you were going to cook. I was sure I wasn't hearing clearly, so I asked him again and got the same answer as before. I told him that there was absolutely no way I was going to feed 30+ people and that he should either order food or make it himself. He told me that he was too busy with party planning and work and had no time and that I should just be making appetizers instead, as people would be mostly drinking anyways. I told him that I would not be doing that, as my pregnancy has been hard on me and I didn't think I had it in me. He told me to just try and I said no and told him that he should call catering before it was too late. Fast forward 2 weeks and he has not called catering and told me that I had to make the appetizers as it was too late now anyway. It made me incredibly upset and I told him that I was going to be canceling the party because at this point it was stressing me out too much. He called me selfish and told me to quit being such an asshole and to just do something nice for his friend who is struggling. I do feel bad for lashing out on my husband and wonder if I exaggerated. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for asking my friend if she's pregnant? My M25 friend, F23, usually goes to the gym regularly and parties a lot. Lately I've noticed that she stopped drinking entirely, same as smoking, and has stopped heavy lifting and going to the gym as regularly as she used to. On top of that, lately she'll often excuse herself to go to the toilet, presumably to throw up, and I've noticed she got a bit thicker and watery. Don't get me wrong, I'm not jabbing her looks, it's just something I've noticed. Her chest has also noticeably grown. When we were out the other week and I noticed she didn't even touch her Red Bull, I pulled her to the side to have a private conversation and asked her if she's pregnant. She immediately flipped out and denied it. Right after that she went home and I covered for her when the group asked me why she went home. I texted her later that same night if I overstepped and she simply replied, you literally called me fat, douchebag. I never did such a thing, but I simply let her be instead of arguing. Today another friend told me she indeed is pregnant and I don't know what to make of her reaction towards me when I asked her in a 4-eye conversation. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for calling my stepsister the ugly stepsister because she freaked out over a nickname? My F29 family jokingly refers to me as Princess/the Princess, because I have a reputation for being opinionated and sensitive. This is mostly because of sensory issues, so certain noises or textures grate on me to an extent that I will leave the room or avoid touching things. I'm also just a picky person and I like things how I like them. So my stepdad started referring to me as the princess, like don't open the car window, the princess will get upset. My stepbrothers and mom use it as well. It's a running family joke, well meant, I've never been offended by it in the 15 years it's been a thing. My stepsister, Georgia, F30, hates it. She used to snap whenever anyone said it, but over the years she just started making the odd passive-aggressive comment about it. Everyone ignores it, because Georgia has a habit of thinking everything is about her, and if it's not about her, the reason it's not about her is because we all hate her, which then is still about her. So, our whole family is visiting my parents in the countryside for a couple of weeks. Georgia has brought her boyfriend Jason along. I've met Jason a couple of times before at dinners and he's a nice guy, and he's fit in well. This morning, me and my mom were making breakfast and Jason came down in to help out. We normally have breakfast in the kitchen/diner, so eventually everyone started gathering at the table. We always make the tea and coffee last so it's hot when we eat, and we had all the mugs out and Jason offered to make the drinks. I told him not to do mine because I liked it made a very particular way, and he said okay princess I will just watch how you do it so I know for next time, and we laughed. It was a joke. The next thing we know, Georgia shouts she's sick of everyone calling me. She then swore at Jason for being just like them, us. She said since everyone thinks I'm so special what does that make her, and I replied the ugly stepsister, obviously. No one said anything, but Georgia burst into tears, pushed her plate onto the floor, broke it, and went upstairs, and Jason ran after her. He's since come down to apologize for her. She hasn't come out of her room. My stepbrothers are on my side. The parents say I should have just not said anything and she would have calmed down, and that I went too far picking at an insecurity. That might be true, but I'm sick of her making everything about her. The joke doesn't have anything to do with her, and I am, as are my stepbrothers, sick of her acting out to force everyone to behave how she wants them to. Am I the a-hole for taking the argument there? Am I the a-hole for refusing to host a birthday party because my nephew isn't allowed in my house? I 24F live on a 4-acre property that I bought for cheap from my grandma who moved to a retirement community. My nephew is turning 16 at the end of the month. My sister asked if we could host his party here on the family property, meaning at my house. I told her no, because my nephew is not allowed at my house. My nephew does not respect boundaries and treats everything like his plaything, including the boundaries of my older black lab, Davos. He constantly chases him around and tries to pick him up despite me telling him to constantly leave him alone. Davos has arthritis and can't be chased around and hates loud noises, which my nephew is very loud. As far as I know he is neurotypical. My sister blew up at me telling me I was putting a dog before my nephew and it was grandma's property that I could dictate. I told her it was my property, I bought it and tended it and pay all the bills for it. My mom called me and asked if I could just put Davos in a room during the party and suck it up for just a day, but I said no. This is his house and he's allowed to go wherever he wants and I won't shut him in a room. Now my family is divided, some of them calling me immature and selfish and others saying I'm right, while some including my father refuse to get involved. Am I the a-hole?